Next up at UFC Vegas 68, we have DooHo Choi taking on Kyle Nelson. DooHo Choi is 14-4 overall, 2-3 in his last 5. He is coming back after 3 full years away. Kyle Nelson 13-5 overall, 1-4 in his last 5, coming off the decision loss to Jai Herbert. And I mentioned Choi, he's coming back after 3 years away, 3 losses in a row. But he had to do mandatory military service, similar to what we saw Korean Zombie do when he had to take a few years off. And honestly, I'm glad he did, because he came into the UFC, came in hot, he was doing really well. The Korean Superboy, tons of potential, really fun to watch in some wars, and the UFC rushed him. They gave him Cub Swanson in 2016. Woo! They gave him Jeremy Stevens in 2018, Charles Jourdain 2019. Jeremy Stevens now is not what he was in 2018. Much more dangerous, more active. Same with Cub Swanson in 16. So Superboy was rushed a little bit, and he got, sort of a big step up in competition, but he's a very, very good fighter. Let's assume the military service kept him in shape. Let's assume he can, he trained and he's ready to go. He's back. His chin's all healed up and he is good to go. Style-wise, powerful striker, okay takedown defense, does a really good job throwing straight punches and staying active without getting absolutely wild. He's very talented. And again, his record is what it is. His recent record, at least. Because he was rushed. The UFC saw potential and they pushed him out there just a little too fast. 13-5 for Kyle Nelson. So he's been around. He's got a lot of experience. He's a solid striker, very real power in his hands. He's been in the UFC since 2018, but has only had 1 win since then, and he's very inactive. He's got solid takedown defense. He does a really good job using his opponents, their shots to create scrambles and end up on top. I love Choi in this fight. I absolutely love him in this spot. Long layoffs could be a problem, but it was a military layoff. It wasn't like the Jimmy Flick layoff. We saw Korean Zombie with the same layoff and come back and didn't look like he skipped a beat. I'm hoping for more of the same. Choi is young, energetic, has all the tools. I got a 1 unit money line bet on him. This line is tightening. It opened at -190. It ballooned up a little bit, and now it's come back down to -182.
Minus 178 right now.
Yeah, so it's even. I did this graphic like 3 hours ago, so it's still coming down. I like Choi here. I think the layoff and the recent record is what's concerning people, but with all the context of why, I think he wins this fight. What do you think?
I'm honestly surprised that after the layoff and after the 3 losses in a row, whatever, before the layoff, that he is a -200 favorite. But, as far as skill-wise, he honestly should probably be like -250, -300 if you're looking at just skill to skill, because he is the better fighter in this matchup. But there's 2 things that make me a little bit cautious. Yes, the layoff, right? Because you really never know how people are going to react. And more times than not, it seems they react negatively towards the layoff, especially early in a fight. And to speak on that layoff, though, on his Instagram, he has a video of him sparring. It was like a few months ago or something. And that was the wildest. It was like the very end of the sparring session. And it looked like these dudes had been trying to take each other's head off for like 45 minutes. I mean, they were exhausted. They were bleeding. It was like the craziest hard spar I've ever seen. So it's like, okay, this guy's definitely been doing the work even without the layoff. But the second reason it gives me a little bit of caution is the way that Kyle Nelson fought his last fight versus Jai Herbert. And that is he kind of just held on. And yes, I know he lost the fight, but in that first round, he had some success with just kind of holding on to Jai Herbert. Had him against the fence, was just calling it holding. Wasn't really doing much with it. But DooHo Choi, and I know that he's had the layoffs and time in between fights, he doesn't have a win outside of the first round since 2013. That's 10 years ago was the last time he won a fight outside of the first round. So if Kyle Nelson comes in, engages in the clinch, pressures him against the fence, kind of holds him there, what is Choi going to offer that he hasn't offered in the past in the second, in the third rounds of this fight? So that's the kind of thing that gives me a little bit of caution. I'm actually going to pick Kyle Nelson in this fight because of that fact, but this is my least confident pick. I'm not putting money on Kyle Nelson, even as an underdog. It's my least confident pick on the card. I just can't put, confidence in a layoff and the way Kyle Nelson, I've seen him fight before. So I'm picking Kyle Nelson, but I mean, it's not. Choi's the better fighter. He's the better fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I did my whole breakdown already. I agree. Anything's possible. Kyle Nelson is a grinder. and he can grind you against the cage and hang out and stuff like that. But Choi's had the higher level of competition. He's the better overall fighter. He's the more dangerous fighter. Isn't he younger as well? No, same age. So I like Choi for all the reasons that I've already mentioned. $8,600 in DraftKings. I do think that's probably safe money because I think he's going to win by a finish. I think he's going to come in, be wild, be crazy, come forward, be aggressive, and make something happen. And he's not a quitter. He has been in some wars. What is I had the stat in front of me. Hold on. He had like 6 UFC fights. 5 of them were fight of the night bonuses. Yeah, 6. That's exactly what it was. 6 UFC fights. 5 of them fight of the night bonuses. Because he's just an absolute wild animal.
And to that fact, I picked Kyle Nelson, but guess what? My first bet I placed this week, or actually second bet I placed this week, was a first-round knockout for DooHo Choi. I mean, he is a powerful, live dude, especially early in fights. He throws some fucking heat, man. So I definitely placed that.
Nope, I hear you. $8,600 in DraftKings. I think I like it, right? I mean, now we're getting a little expensive, but I think I like it. The layoff's a bit concerning, so I'll experiment with it. But if he wins, he's going to win in spectacular fashion and earn those points. The Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line, it's probably a more. Choi gets into wars. And he has, like you said, the sparring session that you watch on Instagram. Like, this guy will get into wars, continue to come forward, continue to throw. Kyle Nelson can get sucked into that as well. And his line is only at 38. So I like the more for Monkey Knife Fight. Do you agree or disagree?
As far as DraftKings go, he's at 86. Wasn't Park at 85? And I was talking about how he could be either really, really good or really, really bad. If you're looking for a flyer, I think Park's the better flyer. But if you're looking for somebody that probably is going to score a little bit more solid, it probably is DooHo Choi at that price range. So it just depends on how you want to play it.
Sure. And the Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line?
Shit, man. That's a tough one. I don't like that one. What'd you say?
I like more. I think they're just going to go at it. But certainly anything can happen.
If they go at it, Kyle Nelson isn't going to last very long, I don't think. So going at it's probably a less.
Then throw Choi in your Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings. All you need to do is pick any 3 fighters. You can get any 3 fighters on the card, including 2 fighters in the same fight. Throw them in there, and if one of them, only 1 out of 3 wins by KO or TKO, you get paid. 2, you get paid even more. 3, even more. Super easy. We cannot miss, and this will be the week that we miss because I keep talking about how we can't miss. But we haven't missed in months. Literally months, like 8 months. It's something absurd like that. Because you get to pick any 3 fighters and you can look at any UFC card and there's always 1 or 2 people you're like, yeah, there's this. Or a fight where you're like, I'm positive there's going to be a knockout in this fight. So anyway, we on
like the Mandy Bomb and Kim fight.
100%. Load it up. First of all, put all your money on Kim. Great odds at minus 250. And throw in Knockout Kings.
That's going to
pay your mortgage.
That's going to be clipped on Twitter. Listen to this guy, what he said about
exactly
Kim. Oh my God. Laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji, laughing emoji. LMAO.
That is literally the basement. I call them the basement buddies. And the basement buddies aren't like, they're just a couple of weird dorks that were like, we don't like you because you don't seem like a real fan. It's like, what?
That was I don't know if we already talked about this, but there was one guy that literally questioned. Listen, if you want to question Angelo's passion, I get it. But if you want to question my passion, it's like, what the hell? Have you ever watched a live stream? There's literally nobody that enjoys this sport more than me. Probably. I'm in Vegas with a company dinner, this and this. I have my phone sitting here watching the fights because it's not like I don't want to miss anything. Not even stuff I have action on. I just love fights. If you want to question my passion, you can go fuck yourself.
No, it's a weird crew. The thing is, some people genuinely hate our guts. Fine, right? We're newer and we're more successful than most. That happens. Others, that's their game. Like, oh, let me troll, get a reaction. That's why I'm not saying names, because I'm not going to give you the reaction.
Right.
I'll give you the reaction. I'm not going to direct any attention that way. And that's the game the basement buddies are playing. Troll. Maybe he'll say something, tag us in something. No.
And then they can play nice guy after the fact. Like, oh, we're just screwing around, We're just screwing around.
Not me.
Let's do something together. Let's do a thing together.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that's not me. That's not how I play. Daddy's out for blood.